I'm here with Ingo and with Marcus. They already had their talks today, and I will maybe start with some easy questions to you guys. How are you?
Absolutely fine. So, if you allow, I will say some words about the conference. So, I arrived yesterday pretty late, but I was welcomed very warm-heartedly, I would say. So, all the guys here at TestWarez, they really took care of me. So, I just had a phenomenal time so far.
Yeah, I'm happy I got to visit the Sauce Labs office in Warsaw and then come here, and it's just been very smooth, very great. I'm over the jet lag. So,
okay,
yeah.
Great. So what really motivates you to, because I know that you need to change countries, you need to fly, to speak on different conferences. What motivates you to do this? Because it's your time, it's probably you are also tired after traveling. So what's about this?
I mean, I do have a really naive view on that. It's just self-improvement, honestly, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm not joining a conference to talk about the topics I already know about. I mainly visit those conferences to exchange ideas about topics I'm not so familiar with. So I see it as a chance for myself to improve, to talk to people, to talk like experts, like Marcus, for example, to learn more about other fields in the huge field of software testing. So that is the main driving point for me, honestly.
Yeah.
Marcus?
I'm here to promote the field of testing, and we had an interesting debate earlier about, do you get developers to test more, do you get testers to develop more, and just that kind of debate, I think, is the motivating thing for me to come here to talk to people like Ingo and explore concepts like exploratory testing in the direction. And the main thing is I still feel like testing is in a lot of ways not as mature as other facets of the software lifecycle, and anything we can do as experts to push that along and make strides, I think is really what brings me to a conference like this.
But when you are on a conference, you are promoting testing between people who are already or mostly in the test field. So what are your ideas to promote testing just inside the project? Because sometimes it's like this, that the tests are just something additional to the project. They are maybe not as important for the stakeholders. So what are your ideas?
My simple idea is always to allow people to understand what you're doing and why you're doing and how you create value for them. So that is always say when I'm talking about evangelizing testing in an organization, just talk about it, like make people aware of what we do and why we are doing it. So this is my simple rule, honestly.
Yeah, I think for me, testing conferences almost become support groups in a way, in that testing has always been looked at as kind of lesser than. I feel like a lot of us try to deny that that's true, but it's absolutely true that testing is the second thought. It's the thing that we have to do because someone told us we have to do it. And I think that I almost only go to testing conferences because I feel like I have a fairly unique and motivating viewpoint that we are powerful, and we need to seize on that power to motivate each other and to push this message through the industry that we are not less than, we are not second place, we are a top level function within the organization. That's why I talk about risk all the time, because when you use words that executives use, they tend to hear what you're saying. And testing is all about managing risk, and the more I can spread that message to testers, the more I can, hopefully leave some sort of impact.
I just want to say one more comment because I fully can relate to the point you've mentioned, and back to your question of why we are here and talking to people that are already in the business of software testing, right? So I would say you always get new food for thoughts, and you can take those new food for thoughts and bring it into your company, right? New ways how you can make people aware of the necessity, the beauty and the power of software testing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And I have to admit, because I was listening to your talks today, and it was really motivating. So it's like you are bringing the value to the conference, and you make people feeling like, okay, I can go. That's what you mentioned. I can go to my company. I can change something. I can communicate things in a different way. So it's really working. Did you have a chance maybe to talk to people here and do some networking, or it's too short time because the conference just started today? So did you have a chance?
Well, the nice thing about going first in a keynote is that people seek you out. So as long as you don't go back to the hotel room, you were going to be networking, and it's been great. It's been I've been to a lot of people, and I've made a few people on LinkedIn who are working on tools that I and even my company are interested in evangelizing and adopting and maybe even promoting. So yeah, it's been great for networking.
Yeah. Same holds true for me. So I haven't had the chance to talk and to discuss so far yet, because it was mainly talks in between. Now we had the lunch, right? So we had a nice conversation at lunch. But as Marcus pointed out, the people are seeking you, right? And I just met one girl here, and she said, I mean, Ingo, it's all fine what you're talking about, but I can't do that. And here are the reasons why. I said, nice. That's exactly what I want to have, this discussion. And just give me those reasons why you can't do that. What blocks you from doing that? And let's figure out how we can resolve that. Let's figure out ways, methods, ideas, concepts, how you can bring those ideas into your company. I think that's it. What this is all about at the end of the day.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Great. I have a little bit different question to you, because I know, Marcus, that you are connecting Warsaw with Chopin because music is your passion, and also you like Polish apples.
Yes.
What's your first thoughts when you're thinking about Poland?
When I think about Poland, I'm already biased by what Marcus has said today, right? So I do have actually a very tight relationship to Poland, mainly to the people here, because I've used to work for Tricentis. It's a software company. It's based in Vienna, and we had some engineering teams here. So I was traveling quite often here to Łódź, and so that was basically a few years ago my daily business. And so I've interacted quite a lot with the people here, and I learned about the culture. So that's how I got aware of Poland, of all the people. That's it.
But you also spent some time in Poland, yes? So you also have connection with people here?
This is my fourth day. I did spend some time with the people that I work with at, from Sauce Labs in the office here, and that's real close to downtown central Warsaw. But what I always try to do when I go to a city like Warsaw is find the old town, and I understand here it's been rebuilt, so it's not the old town, it's the new old town, but it's charming. I seek it out for the outdoor dining and usually outdoor musicians and stuff like that. I know it's always there, and I love to try to find it. So I found it here, and it's been great. So yeah.
When you are going to a conference as a speaker, do you think also about possible differences in the culture? So when you are preparing your talks, or just the TestWarez is so, let's say, universal that you don't need to adjust it to the people? What are your thoughts about this?
I have found the biggest adjustment in going to Japan to do talks in Japan, because my understanding before I got there, which held true, was that the audience is very, very, respectful of the speaker. And what that means is that during the Q&A, you're either not going to get questions, or you're going to get the hardest questions you've ever heard, because preparing a difficult question, challenging question, is showing respect to the intelligence of the speaker. So you have to mentally get ready for the hardest question you've ever heard, or talk long enough that there's no Q&A, which I did the latter.
It's the solution.
And so for Poland, the only thing I tried to do was insert some, you could call it pandering material about Frédéric Chopin, but also my company designed 3 separate versions of our SauceBot just for Poland, for this conference. So, I tried to do that to establish a connection. And the main thing I tried to do was talk slowly, and I failed. So other than that, I do tailor it a little bit. I couldn't say you could just go anywhere and give the same talk. I don't know what your experience has been.
Yeah, I can't relate to what you've said about Japan. I've been there once in Tokyo about 15 or 20 years already ago at my time at university. So I've used to work as a physicist, and wow. I've attended their conference and gave a talk. And I also got really challenging questions. And I got one. I had no idea how to answer it. And I said, I'm so sorry to say that I have no idea how to answer that question. And that boy, it was 18, 19 years old, just started his career at the university. He came to me later and said, Ingo, I'm so sorry. I apologize that I've asked you a question you weren't able to answer. So no, that's fine for me. I mean, that really pushes me forward.
Yeah.
So this tells you a lot about the cultures there.
Yeah.
What I also see is there's big cultural differences, especially between US, Europe, Europe, and I would say the Asian region more India as well as Australia. So in US it's mainly about the show, I would say, when you do your talks. Right?
Yeah.
In Germany it's more like you follow strict rules, you need to be very precise, right? You need to lay out a method. I think that's kind of the same in India, I would say.
Yeah.
So yes, so to a point, I think you need to account for that based on where you are and what you're talking about.
Yeah.
That tells you how you should talk about the topic.
Okay, great. And for example, what would be your advices for people who would like to be speakers, but maybe they're afraid because even of the questions? So I'm not sure if the solution here is to have a long enough talk, but people will go somewhere, they will think about being speaker, but okay, I will do my talk, and later people will start asking the questions, and I will be not able to cope with all the questions maybe. So what would you suggest?
The first answer I would have is practice on coworkers, because there's a 70% chance, that's a number out of the air, but I'll stand by it, 70% chance that if you get 10 coworkers who are even somewhat similar to the audience that will be here, they're going to come up with some form of question that's going to represent what you're going to get in the real audience. I would recommend practicing. Yeah.
Absolutely the same. So start small and then go big, right? Yeah. So that is what we're also doing internally at UiPath, right? So people are often so afraid. So now I don't want to talk in front of, 10, 15 people and so. Okay, I think it's much harder to talk in front of 10 people than it's talking in front. You basically have eye contact all the time, right? So it's very great to have those trial sessions internally in a safe environment. And one thing I always think about before I do a talk is I say to myself, it's okay when you don't know about something, but then say it, okay? Yeah. And don't try to talk BS. So.
Yeah. Another thing that I've found that I don't find myself doing anymore, and I think I should, is I try to find someone in the audience within the first 2 or 3 minutes that I consider to be a friendly face, someone who's nodding along. And if you're nervous, just act like you're speaking to them. They will settle you down. I actually don't do that anymore, and I think I should, because I think that I try to be democratic and make eye contact with everyone, but if you're nervous about it, find that one person that is obviously rooting for you. Everyone in the audience is rooting for you if you're at a talk like this, otherwise why are they here? Yeah. But find that one friendly face and talk to that person.
Yeah, there are really good advices, thank you. Yeah. And one more question, because the testing area is changing. Yes, we are going forward, there are new technologies coming, maybe new challenges. What about people who are working in QA? Should they, in your opinion, is it like they are also changing, like the current tester work is totally different than a few years ago? So do you think that also personality and skills of people who are involved in testing should change or changed already?
I mean, yes, of course. I mean, but this doesn't just hold true for software testing. I think that holds true for every single discipline out there, especially in the software market, right? No matter which new technology comes around or which new concepts come around, like we had Agile 20 years ago, then we had DevOps starting with 2007, right? Now since 2014, 15, everyone is talking about AI, for example, right? I think in the same way and at the same pace technology advances, I think we need to advance and we need to be able to adopt those technologies, to adapt to those things, right? In one way or another. So yes, of course, right? Yeah. But it holds true for everyone, not just for software testers.
Absolutely. I would think that your skill set needs to constantly evolve. Who could deny that? We're not writing C++ anymore. I mean, unless you're in the game industry. Personality-wise, I wouldn't change that unless you're a jerk. Like, I think if you're a jerk, you're closed, whatever. But personality-wise, be who you are. And like I said in my talk, which obviously isn't here, but what this industry needs is a diversity of backgrounds doing the testing, doing the developing, doing the product specifications. Bringing your unique point of view is very much valued. And so I would say don't change your personality unless you're a jerk. Definitely adapt to new skill sets and be prepared to hear a lot of BS, because I remember having a conversation not terribly long ago with a developer, I think it was 18 months ago, and that developer said, finally JavaScript is settled on React. React 1 we did. I was like, well, I heard the same thing about Angular a few years ago. And they're like, well, no, React's fine. It really is the right. Finally, we hit the async await. We hit the right patterns and everything. And here we are 18 months later, and Vue is taking over the world. And Angular is not only dying, but the testing component of that protractor is like officially dead. And testers are only now coming around to realize that. So if you don't evolve your skill set, it will be evolved out from under you. But the industry still needs your unique perspective and personality and background. So that's
right. Absolutely. And maybe one more comment, because we have discussions now for, let's say, for the last 2.5 years, especially about AI, right? So I observe so many testers getting afraid of the topic and say, oh, now will I be replaced by that? So that's a clear sign to me that those people do not really adopt those technologies, because especially when you get into the nitty-gritty of those intelligent systems, you will figure out quite quickly that they aren't made of magic, they are made of logic, right? And then you can, I think, far better estimate whether that has an impact on what you do in your profession and how it will impact you. And just play around with it, just get into it. So that's my advice to all the people out there.
I mean, to that point, record and playback tools 20 years ago were going to replace all of our jobs, and they still suck. Selenium IDE is showing a lot of promise, but it's still just an evolution along a tool chain. It's not a bad idea, it's just missing a good tool chain. So I wouldn't be afraid of any singular tool like that, as long as you possess the passion and knowledge to be able to evaluate this thing from a user's point of view.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for the talk. It was Marcus and Ingo with us. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Sure, thank you.